Okay, everybody, are we live? Are we live? I don't know. Hey, everybody, are we live? We should be live. Let me know if we're live. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining my live stream impromptu. Well, kind of impromptu. Let me know if you can hear me okay, see me okay. Let me just check a few things on my end. Everything should be looking good. Let me just double check and make sure everything is looking the way it's supposed to be looking. Says I'm live. Oh, there we are. Okay, looks like we are. All right, we got some comments happening. Okay, hold on. Let me get all organized here. All right, get some thumbs up happening. Some thumbs up happening. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Oh my God, there's already a bunch of people chatting it up. Okay, we're gonna have to start answering questions and see what you guys are up to. So welcome to the live stream. Again, it's been a month already since the last one. Can you believe it? Let me know, again, how's the lighting look? How's the audio sound? Give me the old, I'm good to go. Everyone says, yup, okay. Hello from the Netherlands. I'm going to assume everything is good and everything sounds good and everything's loud enough and looks good. The lighting looks good. I'll get back to the top of the chat. So, yeah, it's been a month. I wasn't planning on doing a live stream tonight, and then I was looking at, geez, it's been a while since I did one. When's the last one I did? And it's been like almost 5 weeks. Seems like it was just last week, right? So I thought, let me get on here. I've been so busy. Things have been going so crazy around here that I'm glad, I'm grateful for that. And so time just flies, right? So I figured I'd jump on here because I got some time tonight. Tomorrow I'm back to work again. Got a lot of things going on. So I hope you're all well. We'll talk about gear. We'll take questions. I'll give you some channel updates. And we'll just hang because that's what we do here. So we got Braxel's here. Hey, what's going on, Braxel? Let's see who else is here, and I'll get back and, oh, and by the way, if you guys want to ask a question, that's great. You can leave it in the chat. If you guys want to support the channel, and these live streams and the channel in general are helpful to you, and I know they are because a lot of you guys send me emails, which I really appreciate, by the way. Thank you. Please feel free to leave a super chat. It really does help. Anything that you can do to help support the channel is really, really appreciated. So thank you so much. Higher Grounds is here. How you doing, buddy? Project AMK is here as well in the chat. John Doe is here in the chat. Who else is here? What's it? Thermoso is here. Elogic 718 is here. Daryl is here. Oh, you guys are awesome. The Passing Bells is here. My goodness, look at all you people already. Bobby Booth is here. Hey, Robert, what's up, brother? Jimmy Farmer's here. Hey, Jimmy. How you doing, buddy? All right, cool, man. Everything's looking good. Everything's sounding good. So what's going on here, man? Tons of stuff. Next week, I'm going to start the next hybrid mixing course, which will be hybrid mixing or mixing hybrid, however some people like to say it one way or the other. Country. We're going to do a country tune. We're going to feature a couple of the songs that you guys have been hearing on the channel by Lori Cole. You guys have heard, if you've been watching some of the more recent videos, you know we've been kind of listening to snippets of Bare Feet and Butterflies. We're going to use that as the main song. I'm going to mix it from scratch, so you won't see the mix done. The thing about the mixing hybrid courses, if you guys don't know, or if you don't have the first two, and if you don't have the first two, go check them out. The links are in the description box below. And if you use the coupon code SAVE100, you can take $100 off either one of those courses, Mixing Hybrid Pop, Mixing Hybrid Acoustic Rock. So open up another web browser while you're here and go to the Home Recording Made Easy website. Again, the link will be in the description box below this in this live stream. You can go check out the hybrid mixing courses and learn what they're all about. Anyway, those courses are in that I mixed the whole song from complete scratch. So you actually see this, you actually see me do all the setup. You see my whole setup process, how I set up a mix, how I get all the editing in the DAW out to the console, and then we mix it from absolute scratch. So you're going to see Bare Feet and Butterflies mixed from scratch. And I'm going to do it a little different than I did it the first time around for Lori. So we're going to use different pieces of gear. We're going to do all that fun stuff. So that's coming. And then included in that course, I think we're going to add 2 additional sets of multi-tracks. So you'll get, I think, 3 from Lori's album. You're going to get 3 songs to mix from her, which is going to be really cool. We have never done that before. It's usually just the multi-tracks of the song that we're mixing. But in this one, I've got permission from Lori to go ahead and give out some more multi-tracks. So there's going to be 3 sets of multi-tracks for that course that you guys are going to get. That is going to come out probably sometime over the next couple of months. So until that comes out, and you'll start seeing videos about it when it's more ready, and I'll talk to you guys about it on the live stream, go check out the other 2 hybrid mixing courses. And again, use that coupon code that not a lot of people know about, save 100, and that'll take $100 off any one of those hybrid mixing courses. So go check those out. They're, I don't know, anywhere from 7 to 10 hours in length. You see the whole mix from start to finish. You get multi-track files, all of that cool stuff. And this one will be great too. So that's going to be coming soon. Mixing hybrid country. And then maybe towards the end of the year, sometime this year, we'll do mixing hybrid hard rock. Like riff rock, like guitar hard rock. So that's going to be fun. So that's what's coming up. As far as courses are concerned with training in this respect, you guys saw the Cappy videos probably this week. If you haven't, the last video we did on the Cappy, the LC25s, those are a lot of fun. There's a bunch more videos coming out on the channel soon as well. We got more gear I got to do and so on and so forth. So a lot of new stuff coming on, a lot of new things. But I'm here to try to help you guys tonight. That's why I come on here. So let me start. I'll scroll back up just a little bit. If you've already typed your question at the beginning of the chat, retype it. I'm going to start from the middle here. Studio Neo. Hey, Studio, what's up? Hey, Dave. Oh, I should put it on the screen. Right? That's what we're here for. Okay. Hey, Dave, just got my Trinoff Nova. Awesome. I watch your videos multiple times, and it really helps set up quickly. Awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. Very helpful. Great. Enjoy the Nova. It's fantastic. That's great. It's, again, to me, it's the most valuable piece of equipment I have in the studio by far, even more than the console. You really don't know what you're missing until you have some sort of room correction. Again, IK Multimedia ARC is cool. Sonar reference ID is cool. But there's nothing like that Trinoff. It does so much more than those other 2 products do. And I always tell people, especially on this channel, on the Home Recording Made Easy channel, you know, the Trinoff is out of that audience's budget for the most part. That's where the software-based solutions are still really great. But on this channel, guys that have gear and hardware and expensive monitors and consoles, if you have that kind of workflow happening, you really owe it to yourself to pick up a Trinoff. I'm telling you, man, and there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. I'm telling you. So great, man. I'm great. I'm happy, Studio, that you got it and you dig it. It's a great piece of gear, man. And again, click the link in the description box. You can go out to Sweetwater. That's my affiliate link. Sweetwater does now carry Trinoff, which is great. When I first bought mine, they didn't carry Trinoff. I bought my original Trinoff from Vintage King, which is cool too. But now Sweetwater carries them, so I would go check it out. Okay, Jerome. Hey, Jerome. Hey, Dave. What do you do if you have a really bad head cold and hearing a mix is impossible? I've had that since the beginning of the month. I try not to work. I mean, well, if I'm not working on client stuff, I don't mix. It's real hard to do that. But if you have no choice, there's not a lot you can really, if you have a really bad head cold and it's hard to hear, you got to kind of struggle through it. I mean, I've done it before, you know, where I was feeling a little under the weather, but if my ears are all clogged, or if I got a head cold, I try not to mix, man, as much as possible. It's challenging, to say the least. I don't know. You've had it for about a month, maybe got allergies or something, but yeah, that's really a drag. Sometimes, you know, if you're working with, you know, paying customers, you may not have a choice but to struggle through it and do the best you can. Again, use reference tracks, especially, you know, because if you have a head cold and your hearing's a little compromised on your mix, what you're hearing out of your mix. It'll also be a little more compromised on what you're hearing on a reference track. So that's even more important. I think using reference tracks is helpful. Or if you're just doing your own personal stuff, try not to mix until you get your head cold clear. I hope you feel better, brother. Face the Nation, how are you? We're just starting. Yeah, I just got here 6 minutes ago. So go ahead, and if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. Which do you prefer, pizza or tacos? Pizza every time. Pizza every time. Not that I don't like tacos, but thank you so much for the super chat. It really helps. Yeah, if anybody wants to hit the super chat, anything you can do, it helps. Believe me, it really does. I really do appreciate it. Hello, Mr. Music. How are you? Higher Grounds, do you have a VA3A compressor in your setup? I do have the V-Comp by Audioscape, which is like the stay level. It's a VA3A. It's a matter of fact, I'm actually talking with Audio Gain Labs. Actually reached out to me. They loved the video I did on the Empressor EQ, and they were asking me if I was interested in any of their other gear. And they do make a product called the Dictator, I think it is, which is a dual mono VA3A compressor, which I might be able to check out soon. I'd love to get another one. I'd also like to get at one point when Audioscape does their Fairchild. Maybe we'll see one of those at one point. But right now I just have the V-Comp. Let's see. Braxel. Hey, Braxel. Been doing too much research trying to decide what to use with my RME UFX3. At one point I was going to start over and go with the Lynx or a Fairfish 32 Pro. Okay. Let's see. You got another comment here. You have aggravated myself over converters for months now. Why? Isn't your RME fantastic? Why do you need a different converter? It's so sad I do this. I just want to make sure I have a solid purchase with no regrets. Well, any one of those name brands, again, you've been around for a long time here, Braxel. You know our whole rap on converters here. Any of those pieces of gear, the converters are fine. Again, I keep telling people, stop worrying about your converters. If you're in the RME, Ferrofish, Apogee, Antelope, Lynx, I'm sure there's others. Any of those, even Universal Audio. I mean, anything where you have a piece of equipment that is north of $1,000 and up, your converters are fine, man. Again, I don't know why people still stress over converters, but I get it. But any one of those things you say, Braxel, any one of those name brands you mention, you're going to be fine, man. You're going to be fine. I knew this wasn't going to take long. I was on an email chain with Audioscape today as well. Chris, the VA3A exists for those who want the original LE3A, blah, 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 blah. I'm already talking to them about getting one of those in here to do a review. Everyone's asking me about the VA3A. I have the VA3A, which is the 500 series. It's the same circuit. It's just put in a different package. And those VA3As are awesome, man. They're awesome. I love them. John Doe. Hey, John Doe. Hey, Dave. How can you compare Analog Obsession's Buster SE with your SSL bus compressor? I don't know. I've never used it. I love the Buster SE on my master bus. Saw you compared the Analog Obsession's Pultec and really respect your opinion. I don't know anything about the Buster SE. I don't even know what that is. Analog Obsession, the only one I've done is the Pultec because a lot of people asked me to do it at the Home Recording Made Easy YouTube channel. I thought it sounded okay. I mean, if you saw that video, you saw I compared the free Kive Audio Pultec, which is the Warmy. We compared it to Analog Obsessions. We compared it to, I think IK Multimedia. We compared it to Universal Audio, Waves, and PreSonus Studio One, which is the worst one of the bunch. And they all sound good. They all sound good. None of them really sound like the hardware. But they all sound good. The closest one to the hardware, in my opinion, is the Universal Audio. So, but I don't know anything about the Buster SE, so I couldn't help you with that. Do the VA3As have a high frequency knob? They do. Pizza rules, you bet, man. Especially coal-fired pizza, at least in my opinion. Okay. If I missed your question at the top, go ahead and just retype it, and I'll be happy to answer it if you have any questions about gear. Zonar says he'll be doing a shootout, radar converters and Avid converters. Yeah, Avid converters I have no experience with, but I got to imagine they're good too. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I don't use Avid stuff, but I know their stuff has been around forever, and people really like the people that use it really like it. Hey, Mobane, what's up, brother? How are you? Have you ever used Langevin Opto Compressor? Nope, never used it. Couldn't help you with that. Sorry. Some of that off the, some of those more boutique-y stuff I have not used. It's not the converters, you know. It took me 4 years to learn how to use my hardware gear, and I was getting ready to sell it, but I kept trying to finally figure it out about 3 weeks ago with my DAW. You're using Reaper. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not the converters. We talk about this every single live stream, which is okay, because if that's what you guys want to talk about, we can. But my opinion hasn't changed from the last time you spoke to me about converters to this time, and it won't change the next time. Converters are important. They are. But the gear that we all talk about here are all high quality pieces of gear, which all have great converters in them. So Jimmy says, which Ros 1 mic's in front of you? The Mini K87. How does it sound? Okay. Considering it's kind of far from me, but hopefully it sounds okay. I fell into the cork sniffing of the converters. I have a Ferrofish A32 Pro. Oh, cool. And the new one coming out next week. I will have 40 channels of I/O after this purchase for hardware. Oh, wow, that's great. That's a lot of I/O, man. Good for you. Good for you. The Ferrofish A32 Pro, I'm sure, is great. I'm sure it's great. That's a lot of I/O, man. You have a lot of hardware you could be patching in. Have you heard of the Focusrite 2802 mixer? Nope. Have not. Have never used it. Mobane says he's happy with his SSL Big 6. Love it with his Electron MK2. Oh, cool. The SSL Big 6, I'm sure, is great. I have never used it. We were in talks at one time with SSL to get one in here, so we can kind of compare, the fit and finish to maybe this console. The sounds, it's going to be a little different, but it's like, it's like a little mini Origin kind of packed down. But then they decided they didn't want to do it, so I have never been able to get anyone to send me one to try. Avid converters, $2,400 for 8 channels. Yeah, they're always on the pricey side, Avid, but that's Avid's everything with Avid. That's the way it's always been. And I'm sure they're great. I just have never used them. Jimmy said it sounds great. Oh, good. Yeah, I like this microphone. I like it a lot. Roswell stuff's really great. And I think, what's this, a $400 mic or something? Maybe? Or $500? But it's really awesome. What is the best drum song you ever heard? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea how to answer that question. I had no idea why I fell into this. I watched the video by Mark. Okay, cool. With him going deep into converters, and it triggered something in me. Cool, man. You get on YouTube and you watch a bunch of videos and you start getting the itch to buy stuff. I get it. We all do it. I mean, I do it. And then I got to dial myself back and say, is it really going to make a difference? And how much the converters are going to cost you. Could that money be better used somewhere else in your rig to have a higher impact? That's how I would look at it. Because after you get the converters that you think they're going to be the greatest thing in the world, then you're going to be saying, okay, something else isn't right. And you're never, sooner or later, you got to worry more about your skill set than you do about the gear, right? The tools are just tools, man. the converter's not going to make your stuff sound better. Unless you got crappy, unless you're starting off with crappy equipment or you know what I shouldn't say crappy equipment, but you know, budget equipment. If you're starting with budget equipment and then making a big upgrade to more pro level stuff, then yeah, it's going to make a difference. But aside from that, yeah, I don't care what set of converters you give me. It ain't going to matter. Not going to matter, man. Braxel says he enjoyed the Cappy videos. Yeah, those were good. Thanks. Yeah, the Cappies are great. I like the Cappies a lot. I like the Cappy stuff. I didn't put those together. I bought those. I actually bought them used on Reverb for like, I think I paid like $600 a piece or $550 a piece or something like that, which I thought was a pretty good deal considering the APIs are almost twice that. They're like $1,000 for like a 560 or something like that, right? So I like them. I like them a lot. I like them a lot. All right, how many people we got floating around here? I got to jump and take a look at this YouTube channel. Oh, 39 people already. Wow, wait. All right, great, man. 39 people. That's awesome. You guys are great, man. 39 people, and how many thumbs up do we have already? 11. All right, you guys are cool. Okay. Braxel says, after I got the SSL Bus Plus, it made a huge difference. Nah, I really don't. Unless they're going to send me one, I'm not buying one. I got a bus compressor in the console. It's the same bus compressor with some more features. I get it. But yeah, I have, well, if SSL wants to send me one and we're going to do some videos, I'll try it, but I'm not going to run out and buy it and try it. I'm just not. I really don't need to do that, but I'm sure it's awesome. I'm sure it's awesome. Mr. Music says, the best drum sound is Anything by Bob Clearmountain. I love Bob Clearmountain. Oldie Dad. Hey, Oldie Dad, what do you think about the converters in the PreSonus Studio Live 64? Now, that's a live mixer. I've used their mixers. They were fine. I've never really did a lot of recording or mixing with those. I used to use those mixers a lot for live use, you know, live bands and those kinds of things. Again, I'm sure the converters are fine. I'm telling you, the converters are fine. Most people that talk to me about converters, usually they're looking in the wrong place. The converters are fine. Anything, like I said, I say anything over $1,000 as far as price point. But I've heard people in the industry even say the number's lower than that. It's like anything over about $500 or $600. Any interface over $500 or $600, your converter is just fine. The converters today are so good. Now, you know, again, when you get, and again, I would say, what else do you have in your rig? You know, most people that talk to me about converters are totally missed the point about converters, and when you dig a little deeper into what's their setup and what's their workflow and what's their gear, you find out they're asking the wrong question. The converter's not the question. Until you get up into real high-end stuff, you know, then it matters, you know, to some degree. But I guess it depends. You know, I guess if you're like, maybe you're a mastering house, like a real mastering house, some of those guys will have a few different types of converters, brands, because they all sound a little different when you try to clip them and hit them. So I understand all of that. But for mixing, which is what I do, I'm not a mastering engineer, I'm a mixing engineer. For what I do, they're fine. I got the Galaxy 64 by Antelope, and they're great. And prior to that, I had the PreSonus for old E-Dad. I had the PreSonus Quantum 4848s. I think you're probably new to our channel. I don't recognize your name, so welcome. And go back and watch some of the videos that we've done about converters on this channel. And I thought those PreSonus Quantum converters were fine too. Honestly, I really don't hear any difference between that and the ones in the Galaxy. The only thing about the Galaxy is they have way more headroom than the PreSonuses did, which I like. The PreSonus, I always had to be careful about the headroom in those converters, in those boxes in general, but not in the Galaxy. So that was a plus. but from a straight on sound quality, you know, are they slightly different? They probably are. And if you A/B them side by side, maybe you would hear a very subtle difference. But honestly, that's, you know, so what do I think about the PreSonus Studio Live 64? I'm sure the converters are great. That's a great mixer. That's a great all-around mixer for both DAW control mixing, live performance, you know, live mixer, great for recording. It's got lots of inputs. It's a good little centerpiece for a home studio if you're doing recording and mixing stuff. DAW control, especially if you use Studio One, you can't beat it for the money. And there's other digital mixers that are out on the market that I've tried, but that one I've always kind of liked the best out of the ones that I've tried. There is a comparison from Dave from MixBus TV. Did a comparison on the SSL Bus Plus and the West Audio NG Bus Compressor. You should check it out. I've already seen it. I've already seen the video. He does good videos. Still not going to get me to buy the S Bus Plus. What is your favorite piece of gear in your studio and why? Probably the console, to be honest. Does that include the console? The console. Why? Because it makes mixing so much faster. It's so hands-on. It has a foundational sound that is nothing like plugins, channel strip plugins. Even working with, you guys probably haven't seen them yet, but over at Home Recording Made Easy YouTube channel, I'm doing some mixing stuff on YouTube where I have two SSL UF8s, a UF1 and a UC1, trying to kind of copy that workflow digitally compared to this, just to see the differences. I tell you, it's not anything like working on a real desk. Working on a real console, the sound that it delivers, first and foremost, the quickness and how quick you can get to the mix, because everything is right in front of you. There's no DAW controller where you got to scroll through menus and assign VPOTs and scrolling and banking. You don't do any of that on a console. You need to turn an EQ, boom, you turn an EQ. I need to add some reverb to a snare drum, boom, add a little reverb to a snare drum. There's no opening and closing plugins, nothing. So the console to me is the biggest thing. All the other gear in the rack, it's all great. You know, I don't really have a favorite. I gotta say, well, if I had to pick a couple of pieces that I think are like really essential to me, would probably be the AudioLabs Empress EQ, which is the tube EQ on my master bus. I've done videos on it. You can check the channel if you haven't seen it already. And I'm really enjoying the Neve Master Bus Transformer. That's a really awesome piece as well. I love the Audioscape 1178. I mean, I like all the gear. If there's gear in this rack, it's because I love it and it's staying here. I don't take gear in here and flip it and sell it like most other YouTube channels. I love the API 5500 EQ. So, but my favorite is the console. Favorite is the console, because it makes the mixing experience so much faster and so much easier and so much more fun. It is not even close to working in the box. And I'm trying to replicate it with all the SSL controllers to do some videos and stuff for the other channel. And I can tell you, after doing 4 or 5 mixes, it's actually at times frustrating to work with all those controllers. It's not the same as working here. It's not even close. I hope that helps. Hey, Chris, how are you, buddy? Thank you, Braxel, for the super chat. You're awesome. Yes, you really should do one of my courses. Go save $100. Save one here. I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay. Go to home. Go in the description box. Go check out the hybrid mixing and use that coupon code at checkout. You take $100 off either one of the hybrid mixing courses. Go, if you're into this stuff, if you're into gear, if you're into the console, if you are into this kind of mixing workflow, go check out the mixing hybrid courses. I'm telling you, you're going to learn a ton. You're not just going to, you're going to see me mix and we're going to do all the tweaking and I'm going to talk to you why, but I talk a lot in those courses about the vision and about how I get the sound in my head to come out of the speakers and what I'm thinking about when I choose a piece of gear for a certain element. I really go down into the detail of that stuff I just don't gloss over it and we just whip through the mix. It's not like that. So if you have not checked out the hybrid mixing courses, check them out. They're the I think some of the best courses I've ever put out, and you really get to look behind the curtain and how I think about this stuff, and you'll get a lot of workflow tips that you can use for your own workflow. And if you're someone who doesn't really work with hardware and you only work with plugins, throughout both of those courses, I tell you how you can emulate some of what I'm doing here with plugins in your DAW. So it's not just for people who have consoles and hardware, although that's what it's kind of centered on. But I also cater to the plugin folks with channel strip plugins and those kinds of things. So you really should stop looking at converters. Go buy one of those courses. Go buy them both. I'm telling you. And I know some of you here tonight have them already. So if you guys enjoyed those courses, please leave a comment and let people know. What do I think about the Mackie 2482? Don't know anything about it. Don't use it. I've never used it. The Carnaby HE2 you pre-ordered months ago has been pushed back again to June. Oh, really? Oh, is that new full EQ? Is that what that is? Remember we saw that at NAMM? Is that what that is? That thing looked awesome. That thing looked great. I'd be interested to hear what you think about that when you get it. That's too bad though, it's been pushed back. How did you get into audio recording? Were you a musician? Yes. So like probably most of you, I'm still a musician. I don't play as much as I'd like to, but I'm primarily a guitar player. And through the 80s and 90s played in, cover bands, original bands, wrote a couple of, have 2 CDs that we put out in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I've been recording and writing and playing in bands long before I became an engineer. But the engineering stuff always intrigued me, both the recording side and now these days much more the mixing side. So yeah, that's how I got into it. So I've been doing it since audio engineering, probably since the mid 90s. But a musician since, the early 80s, maybe? Long time. Zona would say that his console 24, his API is an API. 2448 is the biggest plus, is tracking. Yes, you can mix on it, but I usually keep things in the box after tracking with the board. Yeah, I know those guys that do that too. They like to record through their hardware and then mix in the box. That's cool. An API is probably more suited for that, much like a Neve is too, although you can mix on both of those, but they're more known for recording consoles. And SSL is really kind of the granddaddy. And the most, I think, at least, out of the big three, the most, the most appropriate, I think, for mixing. It's really focused on mixing. Yes, you can record on the desk, but it's really a mixing console. And so, but the API stuff is awesome too. Yeah, API is killer. I have a private student that has an API, the Vision console, I think. He has a beautiful limited edition. I think it's the Vision. It's really cool. I can't remember the exact model. I just know it cost him like a mortgage, man. But what a beautiful desk. What a beautiful desk. How would you mix a session with 200 tracks on a console? Number one, I wouldn't mix it. 200 tracks is absurd. But anyway, the way you would do it is you have to do comping in the box, grouping, and you group stuff in the box. So for example, and I do this all the time. Now I have 64 faders on this console. I never mix with 64 faders. It's way too many faders to manage. I always try to keep it, ideally I like to keep it to 32 or less, but I will go as high as 48. I'll go to the first 16 on the short faders here, but I don't ever, I don't think, trying to think if there's ever a time, never a time where I've used all 64. Because most of the music that I mix is stuff where it can be comped in the box. So for example, if we had a song that had, 12 background vocal tracks, I would blend those together. I would do a blend. I would group them to a bus in the box, right? And I bring it out to a pair of faders on the console, or maybe 2 pairs, depending on what those background vocals are, for example, or like guitars. If I had a bunch of rhythm guitars that were all kind of playing the same parts, I would group them in the box and bring them out to a pair of faders. So I would do, if I had a 200 track session, which never happens in the stuff that I work on, but if I did, we would be getting 200 down to 48 one way or the other. One way or the other. That's how I would do it. But again, most of the music that I work on, you know, pop, rock, blues, jazz, Americana, country, all those styles, metal, rock, most of that stuff is under 50 tracks when it comes to me, and I compare that down to normally 32 to 40 tracks, sometimes 44, depends on what it is. I don't think I've received a 200 track session in a long, long time, but that's how you would have to do it if you were going to do it. If you're working on those kinds of sessions, 200 plus tracks all the time, then a console is probably not what you want to be using. Zona says that the API is 250 grand. Yeah, that's probably right. I know he told me he spent a lot. I don't think he spent quite that much, but I thought he told me it was like 190 or 195, something like that. It was up there. It was way above what I can spend on a console. And he loves it. He absolutely loves it. So I was like, yeah, the API is good stuff, man. Yep, group tracks to a bus, example drum tracks on a bus. Yep. Yeah, the new anniversary 1608 is 68,000. Yeah, and that's only a 16-channel mixer, isn't it? That's only 16 channels. Yeah, that's a lot of money for 16 channels, in my opinion. You know, this is less than that, and this has got 64 channels. But the API is a different animal. API's got automation. It's got a lot of other stuff in it, too. And there's all kinds of companies coming out with different kinds of desks and stuff. So I'm always got my ear to the ground, just looking at stuff that's coming out. But most of the new stuff that's coming out is, you know, again, pretty pricey. The new Neve Genesis with the Black Series with the Dolby Atmos built in looks like a beautiful, beautiful console, especially if you're if you're into Atmos and that kind of thing. But again, big bucks. I mean, you're up, you're up over 150, I think, or so. Yeah, so I'm always checking out consoles, and all the really nice ones that I would really like are way out of my budget. so I'm with the Origin, but I like the Origin a lot, as you guys know. I mean, I love this console. I think for what it costs and for what it is and for what it does, I don't know that you can do anything better than this for the price. What is the name of your band? Do you have stuff online? No, the band is, I don't have a band anymore. The name of the band was Vision, was the name of the band, but you won't see anything online anymore. We're talking many, many years ago. Zona says his board went up 7K since you bought it. Oh, cool. Yeah, this one went up about, 5,000 or 6,000, I think. 7,000. I think this one sells for about 55 or 58 now. I bought it for 49. So, yeah, so mine went up too. But everything has gone up with inflation. So I bought mine right at the nick of time. Within like 2 months after I bought mine, they went up in price. Braxel says he is stuck on his Audioscape 1178. Yeah, these 78. Yeah, that's really great on drums. Yeah, I've used it on drums. I use it on drum bus. I've used it on parallel drums. You know what I'm using on my parallel drum track a lot now is the Stam SA609. The Stam Audio Neve 33609. Love that on parallel drums. Love it on drum bus too, man. Love it on drum bus too. Love that 609. Love it. I don't know how it compares to a real Neve 33609 because I don't have one. I almost bought one, but they were like $3,500 or $3,300, and the Stam was $1,400. And I gotta tell you, I love that Stam Audio, man. The only problem with Stam Audio is you can't get the stuff. The lead times are insane. I mean, I'm still waiting for the 3 SSL bus compressors with the mods that they were going to send me to do. They wanted me to do a comparison of all three with the Fairchild mod, the API mod, and the Neve mod. It's been months, and they still haven't shipped them to me yet. So that's the problem with Stam Audio. What little I know about them, is at least again I have their 609 amazing compressor. I love that thing. Spoke to the owner a couple of times on Zoom. Joshua, great guy, really passionate about what he does. I think Stam has got something really unique in that they take the classic gear, but they add additional features to it to make it more flexible, more options at the same price as if you bought something from like, say, like Audioscape, for example. But the problem is getting the stuff is really difficult. And he knows that. We've talked about that in the last live stream. I wish I could get stuff from him faster. I'm dying to try his SSL stuff, but Braxel said he did a ton of research on your Origin 64 is about $171 per channel. Oh, it is? I never figured it out per channel. That's interesting. Cool. And that's if you pay full price for it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You see too many used ones out there. I think last time we did a live stream, someone was selling a used one for about 50 grand, which seemed kind of high. Yeah, I don't know. Again, feature for price, considering the features in this at the price point, I don't know that you can get a better console at any price. The only other one that's in the ballpark is the Audience. They make a console very similar to this in that same ballpark. And Trident as well. Like the one Charlie has at Ultimate Studios Inc. Although he's modified that and he's put a lot of mods into that, which you can do, which would cost more. But even the base model of the 80B is right around the same price as this, I believe. Around that 55-ish. But yeah, there's really nothing else out there that I'm aware of. There's nothing else out there. Vision, hardcore music. No, it was more it was more of a classic rock vibe. More of a classic rock. Think about, was probably a cross between AC/DC and like, maybe like Velvet Revolver, AC/DC, Nickelback, that kind of heavy. That was about as heavy as it got. It wasn't real heavy modern stuff. Hey, Jonathan, how are you? You use the API Vision plugin on the QSC Touch Mix 30 Pro. Oh, cool. Slate plugins for drums and CLA in the CLA pack. Great plugins. 3-piece drum kit down to 7 mics from 12 mics. Way better phase and tone. Cool. Cool. Yeah, that's all good stuff, man. The Vision plugin's really good. Chris says, you ever see yourself going for a more expensive console? No, I don't. And the reason why I don't is just because if I was going to go from this to what? Anything I go to is going to be 150 grand plus, which is 3 times the cost of this. So it would depend on, I mean, there's certainly some desks out there. Like I guess if the answer to your question is probably not, but if I were to do it, the only way I would do it is if I had a desk similar to like the AWS, which also acts as a full DAW controller, as well as an analog mixer, right? Has all the automation, all that stuff, the recall, everything. Or something like a Duality. Or something like the Neve Genesis Black, where all the EQs and preamps are all digitally controlled with encoders on the desk. So they're hardware, but there's no pots like this that you have to recall. And if I was gonna go with a more expensive desk, it would have to be a desk that did all of that. And the DAW control would be huge. And the only reason why I would ever even consider something like that and I haven't even considered it really, but if I were to do it, is because because right now I run 2 full rigs. I have a full analog rig, as you guys see, and then over at Home Recording Made Easy, I have my digital rig. So I have doubles of everything. Not doubles of all the equipment, but I have a full in the box rig. I have a full analog rig. If I had a desk that was a full DAW controller, like a good one, not, you know, then I could really combine everything into one workflow, and I could run both of those YouTube channels and both of those businesses off of one rig. When I was just doing the plug-in thing, I could do it all from the controller. When I was doing the hardware thing, I could do it here. So maybe that would be a reason to do it. But every time I look at the numbers, I just say that the consoles are just so incredibly expensive. I just don't know, from a business point of view, it just doesn't make sense. Am I going to get any more business because of it? No. Am I going to be able to make better mixes with him? Not necessarily, no. Because I would probably stick in the SSL family. Maybe the Neve because of the digitally controlled EQs. But I don't know, because I before I bought an Origin, I did demo a Genesis Black, one of the early ones, and I wasn't happy with it. But again, at the time, I was in a different price bracket. I was at a $50,000-$60,000 price bracket, and that Genesis that I looked at to get the same amount of faders and all of that was over $100,000. So it kind of took me out of the running anyway. But I did demo it. I sat in front of it and played with it, and it was really cool. But I demoed a smaller version of it. It didn't have as many faders and stuff I would have needed. But the concept was there. I would probably lean more towards an AWS. I would love a duality, but it's just way out of my price range. But again, the AWS 948, which is 24 faders, that can be either mono or stereo, so that's a plus. With full DAW control, automation, recall assist, all of that, 130 grand. That's what that console is on Sweetwater. Even used, they're 70,000, and they're used 6-7 years old. It's 70,000. I wouldn't spend that much on a console that was 7 years old. That's a lot of use, a lot of maintenance coming up on that desk if it's that old. So we're looking at 130 grand. So as much as I would love to have one, just because I love this stuff, I just don't see it in the cards. Now, if I was going to be, because what you know, Chris, and a lot of you guys know if you've been here a while, but for some of the new guys that know, I'm not a full-time mixing engineer for clients. Not because I can't, because I don't choose to be. I'm very picky about the projects I work with. I'm really into the education market, right? So homerecordingmadeeasy.com, Mixing Music Analog is my mixing services, and then this YouTube channel. And so, but if I was a full-time mixing engineer and I was working in an environment where I had to be able to bounce back and forth between sessions, between clients, and I had to work on multiple things at once, and Monday I have to work on this client, send them off a mix, wait a week to get a response back for changes, and then I got to switch over the desk to a new client, and I had to do all of that, then this is not the desk for that. Not even close. This is, we do a mix, we don't take it off the console until it's signed off, then we go on to the next project. And based on my current workload and the clients that I work with and the projects that I choose to work on, that works fine. If I was at one point in my career or life said, you know what, I really want to focus more on mixing and I need that flexibility, then yes, then that would be a reason to look at a more expensive console, because in order to switch between sessions like that, this is not the console you want. It's all manual recall, and then that's not what you want. I would need something that had recall assist at the very least, where it had a software package so I can quickly, you know, if I had pots I had to touch, and all of that. So yeah, so that would be the reason to do it. But based on where I'm at right now, no, there's no plans to get a more expensive console. They're just too much money. They're just too much money. I wish I could. I wish I had unlimited amount of funds, because I would love to use like an AWS or a Duality. I would love to use one of those, because there's so many more things that can do that this can't, but it's just out of my price range. It's really what it comes down to. If I ever decide to switch my career a little bit and get out of the education stuff and focus more on the client projects, then that would be a reason to do it. But I'm not of that mindset. And so I like the education side of this stuff more. I have more fun that way. And I like being able to just pick and choose the clients that I work with. If I get lots of requests to do mixing and I don't take at least half of the stuff that gets at least half of the stuff that people inquire about, I don't take. I politely just decline, because if it's not an artist that I really believe in, or the music isn't something I'm really into, or whatever, then I don't do it. I don't mix just to mix to make a buck. I don't do that. I actually, when there's some artists, I actually mix for free just because I love their music so much, and I try to help out artists that way. And payment is, they allow me to use their multi-tracks for courses, for YouTube, for those kinds of things. And sometimes we do a barter. And again, I only do that with artists that I really like. I don't do that with just anybody. So that's a long-winded answer, but good question. The Origin is a great board, too big for my room. Actually, it looks bigger on camera. I always look at this on camera and go, wow, it's actually only it's only 72 inches. It's only the size of, it's a little bit bigger than the size of a computer desk, lengthwise, and it's only 43 inches deep. It's not like the big old SSLs, but if you're tight on space, this can fit literally in a 12 by 12 room. It's only 72 inches. It's not that big. It's not like the old SSLs, the big, the ones that look like an aircraft carrier. It's not that big. Braxel says he heard the 33609 old ones were way better than the new ones. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they are. I'm waiting for the one from Audioscape. Yeah, they got one coming out at one point. I don't know anything about the old ones versus the new ones, but let's see here. Scrolling down. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Dave. Did you get that Mac Studio all set up after I helped you with it? Yes, Jimmy Farmer. Yeah, I should publicly thank you. Thank Jimmy Farmer. Came to the rescue over at my other rig with my new Mac Studio. Yes, it's fine now. Ever since we installed that Rosetta thing, James, everything was fine. No problems at all. That was the culprit. We didn't have Rosetta 2 installed, and some of the applications wouldn't install, which I didn't realize. But I must have done that on this computer for this rig too, and I don't remember doing it. I must have done it because it was the same applications that were giving me issues. So yeah, I got it all set up and it works flawlessly. I really appreciate your help, man. You really got me. You were able to figure out in 10 minutes what 3 major companies couldn't figure out in 2 weeks, which is insane. It's insane. A friend of mine bought an SSL Duality used from Sonic Circus and got a killer deal. Oh, cool. Yeah, the Dualities are nice. Brand new Duality starts at $250,000 for the one that I was looking, because I inquired at Sweetwater just because I was just curious. I had no intentions on buying it. I was just curious. A Duality with 32 faders on it, with all the bells and whistles that a Duality has, DAW control, $250,000 where they start, and they go up to $500,000. They told me. I was like, wow. Well, that's a little out of my budget. Oh, man. Braxel says, is Danger Fox. Oh, 24U, 62 inches. Yep, is a great desk. But if you buy one, be prepared to wait. Yeah, we talked about this last time. Yeah. Danger Fox is a company that makes really great studio furniture, but a lot of people complain, at least I've seen on YouTube and stuff, because the wait time is insane. And when I was looking for a desk at one point, I actually was going to consider them. And after I'd done some research and saw all the negative YouTube videos, I won't even consider them. I don't care how good their desk is. I'm not waiting a year to get a desk. To me, that's crazy. That's crazy. Again, it's a lot like, we talked about that last time, I think, too, with the Stam Audio. That's where we're talking about that, too. They can make great stuff, but what good is it if you can't get it? I know someone that waited for a Stam Audio piece for 2 years. I don't know. I don't have that kind of patience. There's too many other companies that make great stuff these days. That no matter how good their stuff is, I'm not, you know, the same thing with desks. There are a lot of great companies that make desks. And Danger Fox is not like, you know, they're top of the line price-wise too. They are expensive. I think almost overpriced for what it really is. But the craftsmanship looks really nice. So, but there's too many companies that make studio furniture that I'm willing to wait 6 months or a year to get a desk. That's absurd. He paid $60K for a 24-channel duality. Wow. I wonder how old that duality was. I mean, that is a hell of a deal. I don't know about all the particulars of that particular model that he got. But yeah, that's a far less than $250,000. $60K for a duality. Are you getting your hands on the Audioscape LA3? Just came out. I was talking to Audioscape about it today. Yes, we're going to get one, but it may be a bit because they're trying to ramp up production. I know Joe Carroll got a video out, and when I saw that video, the first thing I did was email Audioscape and said, "Hey man, how did Joe Carroll get that unit before me?" I know the answer to that question because he's Joe Carroll and I'm not, but that's okay. I'm only teasing. And I said to the guys at Audioscape, Michael might be on the live stream tonight. He said he might stop in. I said, I guarantee you on this live stream, I'm going to be asked about this LA3A at least twice. And now you're the second person to ask me about it. So I said, if you want to send me one, I'll do a video for you guys. And they are going to send me one. I just may have to wait a little bit. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, I understand why you'd give it to Joe Carroll before you'd give one to me. I would give one to Joe Carroll before I gave one to me too. I like Joe Carroll. I like him too. He's got a lot of good courses on Produce Like a Pro. If you ever have an opportunity to buy one of Joe Carroll's mixing courses, he's another guy that does a really good job teaching. There are very few famous engineers that produce training courses in the mixing that really do a good job teaching it. Most of them are horrible teachers. They're amazing engineers, terrible teachers. There's only, and I get all of them because I like learning, and also too I like watching other people's courses. So when I make my courses, I could try to make mine better for you guys. And Joe Carroll is one of the guys that does a really good job teaching. He's one of the few. Mark Daniel Nelson's another one that does a good job teaching. Not only great engineer, but he's a good teacher. He communicates well and can explain this stuff to people who aren't as advanced. So they could take a more complex technique and, for lack of a better word, dumb it down to where normal people like us can understand it and get something out of it. So you ought to check their stuff out. Along with my mixing courses, because my mixing courses, I've been told I can do that very well too. So still waiting on the Analog Man King of Tone since 2018. And mine still has not come up. Wow, but you got patience, brother. I ended up buying one years ago for $400 since 2018. Man, that's crazy. Joe seems like one of the nicest guys, so it's hard to get mad at him. Yeah, me and Joe chat a little bit together on Instagram. We have we've communicated, Joe and I, a handful of times. Yeah, he seems like a real nice guy. And again, he's really good at what he does, and I appreciate the instruction piece of what he does. So I like Joe Carroll an awful lot. That's okay, Braxley. You're cool. Am I all the way down at the bottom already? Let me see. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Again, if this live stream is informative to you in any way, feel free to use the super chat. It does really help. I do really appreciate it. And again, check the link in the description box. Go to the mixing hybrid courses. Use the coupon code SAVE100, all one word, SAVE100. Take $100 off any one of those courses. Go check them out, because we're going to be ready to release hybrid mixing country, probably in the next couple of months. I'm going to start working on it next week. So it'll be about a month or so before it comes out. But that's going to be a lot of fun too. So definitely go check those out. You'll really like those, I think. All right, let's see. How many people we got floating around here still? We still got 34 people watching. Wow, awesome. You guys are really cool. Really do appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Always like when you guys show up and we have a good time hanging out together and chatting. Chris, is any gear you're not happy with anymore? Think about selling. Nothing that I'm not happy with, but I did sell some stuff. I think I might have showed it in the last Studio Rack update. So I did sell the Aphex 204s. Only reason why I sold them is they're great. I used to use them on toms a lot, and they sound great. But you know what was easier, and what I found was easier, just using samples. So I got rid of those to free up some rack space. I did sell, what else did I sell? The Blackline Audio Bluey. Again, not because I didn't like it. It was because I needed to free up some rack space for the Stam Audio 609. And I already have a ton of 1176 FET style stuff, so I didn't need that. What else? I sold 2 of the DBX 168s. I kept a pair, sold a pair. Again, 4 was kind of overkill. I never really used 4 in a mix, so I got rid of 2 of those. Again, this is all in an effort to I don't want to buy any more racks. I already have too much gear, meaning I don't use, I was trying to weed out the stuff and then get stuff to replace it that was, stuff that I didn't already have, you know what I mean? I sold, what else did I sell? Oh, I sold the SPL Big, because now that I'm using the Master Bus Transformer, I like the stereo width on that better. So I sold the SPL Big. I kept the NE 542s. I didn't sell those yet because I'm still looking to what I might do with those. What else? I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that might be it. So again, all that gear that I sold, I really liked. It was either stuff that I just either had, like on the DBX, I had too many of them. I didn't need them all. And I don't have the room to put more racks. So I want to keep my options limited. So I want to make sure I have enough of the different colors and flavors, but I don't want to have unlimited choices, because then you're right back to what you were doing with plugins. You just got a ton of stuff you're looking at and you don't use half of what you have anymore. So but I have nothing else right this moment that I'm thinking about selling. Studio monitor discussion. Sure, what would you like to discuss? Do you have a specific question? I'm sure your first question is, what studio monitors do I use? I use the Focal Trio 6s, the new ST version, and I love them. I've been a Focal guy for years. This is my 3rd set of Focals, and I love them. But if you have a specific thing you want to talk about, I would love to answer any questions you have. I think you said you're enjoying the Rupert Neve MBT. I love it. I love it. I'm going to do a video on it soon, but I've done a few mixes with it and I love it. It's a great piece of gear. Hey, Doug, how you doing? Thank you, man. You really enjoy the content. Thank you. I really appreciate you being here, my friend. Hey, Daryl, Dave, do you give a course on how to record a track and then add processing to set up your DAW with the console? No, I don't do recording in this rig at all. None. I just focus on mixing. I could record. I don't record music here at all. The only recording stuff that I do are for beginners over at Home Recording Made Easy with Studio One. I have some beginners recording courses over there, but nothing over here. All this is mixing music analog. It's mixing. That's it. So I don't have a course like that, no. Like I said, still debating. Oh, still betting that the new rack will show up. I have no room for it, man. I have no room. I can't physically put it anywhere. I don't have any room. So no, there won't be another rack. I'm telling you, there's not going to be. There's not. There is not. I still have the 542s. Yes, I do. Studio monitors, I'm not sure what to get for your space. It's small, but I'd like more than the Yamaha 8S7s. What don't you like about the HS7s? I've never used them, but what don't you like about them? Why do you feel you need more? And before you talk about monitors, let's talk about, do you have a room that's acoustically treated properly? And what is that whole situation like? Are you using any kind of room correction software to make sure you're hearing accurately out of those Yamahas? Because a lot of times people talk about upgrading monitors, and part of the reason why they struggle is because they can't hear what's coming out of the stuff accurately because the room isn't right. That's a big problem. Now, if you have all that other stuff dialed in and you just want something different than the Yamahas, well, there's a million choices out there, man. And it really depends on how much money you want to spend. I don't know much about the Yamaha HS7s, so I couldn't tell you what those are compared like to others. You're very welcome, Daryl, anytime. Says you've recorded 9 drums. I did? Oh, I did a video 6 months ago. We were comparing the if you're talking about the Studio Live PreSonus mixer preamps to the Origin preamps, we did record some drums. That's the only recording I've ever done in here. And I have no interest in it. I don't bring clients here. I don't record people here. It's just not, number one, this room isn't really set up to do that. And number two, it's just not my interest anymore. It's not my interest. Unless I was working in a studio space where I can have everything set up and get into all of that. But yeah, it's just not something I'm into doing anymore. I really like, mixing is where my passion is, and that's what I really enjoy. Not really recording. Well, not that I don't like to record. I just don't have the space to really do it the way I would want to do it. So yeah. Braxel said you have the HS7s. Oh, cool. But after buying the Focal Solo 6s, it was like a blanket was removed. Yeah, the Focals are great speakers, man. Even the Solos, I had those for years. I think I had those for like 6 years. I mixed on those. Those are great. And then I upgraded to the Twins, the Mark 1s. Those were better than the Solos, in my opinion. And then now the Trios, and the Trios are just like the best monitors I've ever used. I love them. I love them. You know, they're way more expensive than the Twins, but to me, worth every single penny. They're worth every penny. Oh, nice drums in your room. Yeah, I have a Roland electronic kit. You can see it here. See, behind me, right here. That's the Roland VAD706 in cherry red. I know the lighting probably isn't great over there, but that's what that is. Because I got to do some videos for Roland soon. And I like to play drums for pleasure every so often. So it's a nice kit. And it looks good on camera, but yeah, that's the new Roland kit. Not new, it's been around a few years, but that's the best electronic drum kit I've ever played. Thing's awesome. Daryl says he's looking at the Focal Trio 11. Yeah, those are nice too. You got to have a big room for those though. Got to have a big room. But yeah, and those are huge cabinets. I've never heard them, but I know you have to have a really big room for those. So if you have the space, those are great. I think you had the old Focal Solo 6s. Yeah, I probably did. I don't think I had the new ones. I think, yeah, I'm sure you're right. I think I had the older ones. I don't know what the sound difference between the old ones and the new ones are. Probably were some difference. But yeah. But I like the Solo 6s a lot. Like I said, I mixed on them for years. And I just got so accustomed to the Focal sounds that I just stuck with them. I know there's other great monitors out there, and I think monitors are such a personal thing because they sound so incredibly different from one company to the next that now that I'm so accustomed to the way Focal sounds, it would be difficult for me to change to a new monitor. I mean, I would be able to do it. You learn the monitor, right? You learn your stuff, you can do it. But But yeah, I just love the focals. It's more monitor than what I need. Let's see. Does your focals have auto turn off? I think it does, but I'm not using them. Mine don't auto turn off. Like they've been on the whole time we've been sitting here, and I'm looking at the green light right here, and they're on. So yes, no, I think they do have that feature, but I turn that feature off. Doug says the Def Leppard mix you did was incredible. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. If you didn't see the video, we did like the point of view, the POV mix of Rock of Ages. And the multi-tracks you could download and you can mix it for yourself. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, all those videos, the POV, I mean, I purposely do them and to keep the video less than 30 minutes. The videos are not longer than 30 minutes. So it's not a full mix. It's just, hey, let's get a balance. Let's have some fun. Let's patch in some gear. Let's whip it together. You know, if I was really trying to mix that song, it'd probably take 2 more hours to get it right. And that's before automation. But yeah, just throwing it up and just putting some gear on it and just mixing an old song like that from the 80s, I thought was a lot of fun. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Yes, the focals have the auto turn off feature if you turn it on. Yeah, I turned mine off. Or maybe it was off already and I don't remember, but my focals don't auto turn off. Oh, you don't have the feature to do that, Chris? Really? Which ones do you have? I thought all the focals that had that feature had the ability to turn them off. I could be wrong. All of the focals I've ever owned, none of them automatically turned off, or they had a feature where I can turn them off. I've never had a problem where my speakers ever auto turned off, and I've had 3 sets of those monitors over the years. Because to me, that would be annoying. Glad you had fun with the Rock of Ages. That was fun. I have another POV mix coming up about 2 weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks, a country tune. I think you guys will like that. Everyone seems to love getting the multi-tracks and that. You guys like the POV stuff, so I don't mind doing it. I have fun doing it. It's always fun. How quick of a balance can we get in 30 minutes? You know, 30 minutes or less. Can we get something that sounds halfway decent? You know? Yeah, you need to have that gated reverb on the snare for Rock of Ages. Yeah, that was big in the 80s. Yeah. That was the sound in the 80s. Yeah, so I wasn't trying to copy the original mix. I didn't even listen to it as a reference. I was just saying, okay, let's modernize it a little bit. Because I think my drums were a lot heavier and the guitars were even heavier. And I was just trying to make it sound cool. I didn't care if it sounded like the original or not. As a matter of fact, I'm sure it didn't sound anything like the original. The original probably had way more reverb on it and stuff, but it was fun. Chris said he bought yours in 2021. Oh, really? Oh, okay, and they took that feature out. That kind of stinks. So how often or how long, Chris, before they turn off? Does it really get in the way of your workflow? I would think it would for me. I would hate that. Dave, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt, but you're some class act. Oh, thanks, man. If anyone wants a real review, see Uncle Dave. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Really kind of you. Yeah, a lot of companies reach out to me, but there's very few companies I take the product from, especially on this channel. This channel in particular. I don't take gear from every company that reaches out to me. There's lots of companies that reach out to me to do products and I say no. And I won't I don't want to mention those companies' names because you know all the companies. They're big names. Some of companies that you've asked me about on this live stream 1,000,000 times. And if I don't like their gear or if I don't have a need, really it's more, if I don't have a need to keep it in my workflow, I don't take the gear. So on this channel, home recording made easy is a little different and I can explain if anybody gives a crap. But on this channel, unlike some other YouTube channels where they'll take anybody's gear, get paid for the video, and then they flip the gear on reverb or whatever, make a buck. And that's how they make their living, part of their living. And I get that, and that's totally cool. I don't do that. I don't make my living by flipping gear and by being paid for videos by companies. So on this channel, when a company reaches out to me, the very first question is, and here's a great example, because we've already talked about Stam Audio. So you guys know that I'm working with Stam Audio, hopefully to get a couple of pieces in. They wanted me to demo their stuff. They reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them. I don't reach out to companies anymore. They reach out to me. And I said, oh, Stam looks pretty cool. He wanted to send me his 1178. He had one in stock. He was going to ship it that day. I said, I don't want it. I already got an 1178. I got the Audioscape and I love it. I'm not going to compare yours to the Audioscape and do a big shootout. I'm not going to do that. I don't need the 1178. And I'm not just going to do a video and then have to sell it on Reverb to make a buck. But if you had other gear that I don't have that I thought would be a nice addition to my collection, we can work something out where if you want me to do a video, I don't take money for the video, I don't get paid by the companies, but if I get to keep the gear for myself, not to flip, then I'll work out a deal. And we did with Stam Audio. I'm just waiting for those SSL compressors. So that's how it works on this channel. So that's why when people ask me about, can you try this? Can you try that? Sometimes in the comment sections of videos that I do on this channel, people will say, well, can you compare it to this piece of gear and that piece of gear? And the answer is no, because I don't reach out to companies and just like the SSL Bus Plus that I think Braxel or somebody was saying, awesome piece of gear. I have absolutely no use for that in my rig. So I'm not going to go get one and I'm not going to take it and do a review on it. I don't need it. Now, if it was something that I felt like I needed, like the Master Bus Transformer, I wanted to try it. I thought it was really cool. I love it. It made the final cut. It's not going to be sold. It's sitting in my rack. I'll do a video for it. So that's the way the gear works here when it pertains to companies. So like Audioscape's another example. I have a lot of Audioscape stuff, as you know, but there has been things that Audioscape makes that I have no real need for, and so I don't do a video for them for it because it's not what I do. They could send it to somebody else, they could do the video, and they can go sell the gear on Reverb. I have no interest in that. On this channel, home recording made easy is slightly different than that. Because of the type of channel it is, the type of audience that channel has, and part of what I do there is comparing different pieces of home, more consumer-based, more affordable home studio gear, and I'll compare lots of different companies like dog controllers and stuff so people can make an informed decision. And then in that case, the deals are slightly different. 90% of the time, it's the companies don't pay me, they give me the gear. And then I either use it as giveaways or I'll sell it to a student at a price that they can never buy it for to help them out, to cover some of my costs. But all that stuff I say in the video, and it's all transparent. I don't hide any of that stuff. But that channel's different. This channel, I only will take gear from companies and stuff that I like, that I'm going to keep as part of my workflow. So that's why any gear that was ever given to me by a company, you never see the gear leave, because I like the gear. So therefore, I don't do as many reviews on equipment on this channel as some people would like, but that's by design. Where other channels are different. Not bad, just different. They'll demo anything. I won't do that. Just don't have it's just the way I like to do things, that's all. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. API 2500 or 2500 plus, is it worth the extra 500 bucks? I think the 2500 plus just has a wet dry knob. Isn't that the only difference? You know who would know? Chris would know. Chris has one, I think. I think that's the only difference, is the 2500 plus. I think that's the difference, is the wet dry knob. And if that is the only difference, would I pay an extra 500 for that? No. That's just me, though. That's just me. But it's about every 15 minutes. Oh, speaker shutting off. Oh, if sound's not coming out, it shuts off every 15 minutes. It's more annoying than you would think. Oh no, I bet you it is annoying. I would sell those monitors tomorrow, and I'd go buy the new version with the shut off feature that you could get rid of. I would, Chris. They would be, if that was me, I would have those things on reverb tomorrow morning, and I would go buy another pair of speakers. You know, the same make and model, if you like those, with the one you could turn that feature off. I wouldn't deal with that. That would drive me nuts. I'm glad you came on the live stream tonight. Was wondering where you've been hiding. Yeah, I've been busy, man. I really have. I did Rock of Ages because it was a huge Def Leppard fan. I'm like, oh, your wife's a huge Def Leppard fan. Well, you know, your wife's got class. That's why. She is tripping out on hearing his voice raw. Yeah. Well, that, I think, I did a lot of pop-ups in that video. That was my first concert, that tour. I think it was 1983 at the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut. Def Leppard, Billy Squier. Def Leppard opened for Billy Squier on the Pyromania tour. So I was at that show. I saw that tour, and I was a huge Def Leppard fan too. And I still have my concert t-shirt, the Pyromania t-shirt. I should have wore it during the video, right? I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I love I still like Def Leppard. I love them in the 80s. They were one of my favorite bands. I remember watching MTV, and that Rock of Ages, Photograph, all the hits from that record, the videos were on constantly when MTV actually played music. I checked Audioscape. They sold all 20 of their VA3As. Yeah. I don't know when I'm getting one, Braxel. But I told the guys at Audioscape, told them today, people are going to ask me about it. How come I don't have one in my studio? It's okay. No, Audioscape's been great to me. I tease them. I can't complain. Audioscape has been so generous to me, and have been such good working relationship with them, and I love them. And a lot of you guys have bought a ton of gear from Audioscape since I've started promoting their stuff. And I was promoting their stuff before the Warren Hewitts and the Joe Carrolls and all these guys that are now getting hip to Audioscape, and good for Audioscape, by the way. They've graduated past good old Uncle Dave here. They're now in the big leagues with these guys, and they should be. They're great. But I was one of the, I wouldn't say one of the first, but I was certainly in the beginning of when Audioscape started getting popular on YouTube, and I was the one that probably did the most amount of videos for them. I don't think you'll see another channel with more Audioscape demos in here. Now you probably will, because they're getting into bigger studios. And I think that's great. Good for Audioscape. So, yeah. So again, I'm sure I'll get more stuff from them in the future, but, you know, they've always been very good to me, so I can't complain. Let's see. Dave, when I first told you about the MBT, you said you had no desire for it. Then many months later, you bought it. Yeah, when I did the plugin demo by Kive Audio. When I did their on Home Recording Made Easy, when I demoed the N-Fuse, which is the Neve and the SSL Fusion in one plugin. Killer plugin, by the way. When I heard that N-Fuse, the Neve part of that plugin, I was like, if the hardware sounds anything like this, I have to have it. And the hardware sounds better, as I thought it would. Yeah, you know, there was really no need. You're right. That was one that I didn't think I was going to need until I heard the plugin. So yeah, you're right about that, Braxel. There'll be 200% more on Reverb in weeks. What's that? On in 6 weeks. Which one? Higher Grounds? You must be talking about something, a piece of gear. What's going to be 200% more on Reverb in 6 weeks? It's okay, Braxel. Sometimes you guys will talk me into buying shit. Like Chris and Man Network, who's not here tonight, was really getting on me about this Antelope when I was looking for the upgrade. And they convinced me to look at Antelope. I wasn't going to. because of the software thing. But I got to say, I love the Galaxy. It sounds really great. Nice explanation of how you do things. So in other words, we can trust what you say is, take it to the bank without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, I mean, it's my opinion, obviously, and I'm just one guy. I hear something and I think it sounds a certain way. You may hear the same thing and think it sounds totally different, and you may not like it or like it, and I may not like it. But that's just because we all hear things differently. But if I tell you on this channel, well, even on the other channel too, by the way, if you go watch, and if no one has ever watched the way I do videos at Home Recording Made Easy, go watch any of the videos I've done for the DAW controllers, whether it's the Soft Tube or the SSL or the PreSonus or the Icons, or even recently now I started doing ones for the that little freak port, that little analog saturator. When I do videos for that kind of gear, it's usually 3 or 4 video series. First impressions, how to use it, blah, blah, blah. And then the last video in the series is always my likes and dislikes. I tell you what I like about the product, and I tell you things I don't like about it and what I think needs to be improved, right? And every single one. And I'm honest about the stuff. So, and I compare them. So if I tell you, when someone says to me, do you like this over this? And I've used both of them and I've done videos for both of them, I tell you which one I like and which one I don't like. I don't lie about it. So on this channel, if I tell you a piece of gear is good, if you listen to the sound examples and you agree with what I'm telling you over the video and you're hearing kind of the same thing I'm hearing, then it's a no-brainer. Now, the other thing that you can always tell, and you can do this when you're watching other channels too sometimes, someone demos a piece of gear and they tell you how great it is. 3 months from now, when you go watch their new videos, is the gear still in their studio? A lot of times, it's not. That piece of gear that they told you was so awesome that they got paid to do the video and they're probably making tons of, and they flipped the gear, it's not in their studio. Not everybody. I'm not saying a lot of honest people out there, but I'm saying there's people out there that they're just demo guys they're like infomercials for the company because that's how they make their living, and that's totally fine. Like I said, I don't do that here. So if there is not a video on my channel of a piece of gear that I took from a company, and there's only been a few, like I said, that's ever been sold. Now, there has been some pieces of gear that I bought with my own money, and over time, as we were talking about a little earlier in the stream tonight, where I tried it out, I really liked the gear, but I'm mixing and matching things, and I wasn't sure how it fits into my workflow, and I'll sell stuff. I mean, we all do that, right? I just told you about some of the gear I sold earlier. All the gear that I've sold recently was all gear that I bought. It wasn't any gear that some company sent me. Because I'm still trying to pare down and find the perfect combination of stuff that I like to have. And some of it you have to experiment with. But if I did a demo, if I tell you something is good on this channel, or even if I tell you it's good, it's really good. It's really good. You could take it to the bank. Because I'm not paid by a company to say anything good about the stuff. And there has been some stuff that you never saw videos for. Because maybe I worked with a company, got a piece of gear, tried it, and didn't like it. Didn't like it to the point where I'm not going to make a video and say your product sucks. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't do the company any good. It doesn't do me any good. So we never did the video and the gear went back. That's happened a couple of times. I won't mention what that gear was because I don't think that's fair to the company. But if I do a video for it, it's because I really like it. It doesn't mean that there's things about it I wish can be improved, and I'll say that in the video. So yes, the long answer is, Daryl, you are not going to, there are a lot of honest people out there in YouTube, lots of honest people. There are many dishonest people. I don't know that you'll find anyone more honest than I am. Equally honest, sure. More honest, I don't think so. Because I am as brutally honest with you guys as I possibly can be, and I'm only one guy's opinion. Doesn't mean you need to agree with me. It just means if I tell you something's awesome, it's awesome. Here's another example. Go watch my 6-month review and my 18-month review on this console. You know I love this console, but there's 3 or 4 things I don't like about this console, and I talk about it in the video. I don't care if SSL likes it or not. SSL didn't give me this console. I bought it, right? I love SSL. I love solid state logic, but there's a couple of things on this console I think were letdowns, and I talk about it in that review. Because you guys ask me, if you're going to go out and spend 40, 50, 60, $100,000 on a desk, and you ask me my opinion, I want to be straight with you. I'm not here to sell SSL origins to you. That's not what I do. So I know that was long-winded, but that's an important topic because I know, because recently, was it you, Daryl? I don't know, someone on an Audioscape video that I did on this channel wrote a nice comment. And since they watched my Audioscape videos, they went out and bought like 14 pieces of Audioscape gear because of my videos. They said it right in the comment. So I kindly forwarded that to Audioscape. They were very happy to see that. So when I know that when I say, if I know when I tell you something's good, you guys go out and buy the stuff. So I want to make sure that that I'm being as transparent and as open with you as I can be, because I want you to spend your money and feel like you made a good purchase. And by the way, and then we'll move on to the next question, I don't get a penny from any of these companies if you go buy their stuff. Audioscape, I'm not an affiliate. They don't give me a commission, nothing. I don't know if they would even offer me one. I don't want one. They give me a piece of gear if I need it and I like it and I want to keep it. That's all I ask for. I don't need anything else. So whether you go buy the stuff or not, I don't make anything. If you buy stuff with my Sweetwater link, I'll get a commission if you buy anything from Sweetwater. But I always say on this channel, I kind of half, jokingly say, I don't care whether you go buy any of this stuff or not. I could absolutely care less. I'm not here to sell you equipment. It's not what I do. If you ask me my opinion, I will try to guide you based on my experience and knowledge of what I learned. And if it helps you make a better decision, right on, man. But if you buy something, great. If you don't buy something, it doesn't matter to me because I don't get anything for it, whether you buy it or not. I just try to help. So hope that all makes sense. Sorry for the ones that have heard me say that a bunch of times. But I say this about every other live stream because we get new people to the stream, and I want to make sure that people understand that. You can trust what I tell you here. Let's see. Chris says he saw a reverb sale for the NE 511s from one of those YouTubers talking about how amazing it was in a video. Oh, really? That must be my video. I did the NE 511. Again, I bought those with my own money. I like them on a couple of different things. I'm not 100% sold on them whether they're going to stay here long term, but I do like them. But I bought those. I don't have a working relationship with Neve. But they are good EQs. But I find on certain things I don't like them, on other things I do. They do sound much different than the SSL, so I like them for that reason. But are those going to be here long term? I'm not sure. Not sure. The only difference I know is the mix knob on the 2500 can't speak to the internal components, though. I think you're right, Chris, on the 2500 plus. I think if you look at it on Sweetwater and you look at the two, I think it's just the wet dry knob. And to me, I wouldn't pay $500 for a wet dry knob. Some people would, though, because that's an important feature to them. As lovely as a console workflow and sound is, definitely has one, especially when compared to a DAW. Are there any tracks or types of music that you choose to work in some in your DAW? No, I've never come across a style of music where I said, oh, it sounds better. Are you asking me it sounds better to work in the DAW? If I'm mixing and I have a choice, it's always on a console. Always. The only time you'll see me mixing on my other YouTube channel, again, is for instruction purposes. But if it's not for instruction purposes, I will only mix on a console. And like I said earlier, Ryan, if you coming in a little late, on my other YouTube channel, I do have two SSL UF8s, a UC1 and a UF1, trying to kind of mimic this workflow in the digital domain, so I can kind of compare and contrast and inform my subscribers about it. It's not even close to the same. It's not. So if I had to choose, I would work with a console every single time. That's just the truth. Sometimes with transformers in a console, you can do things to the low end. That's true, which may not always work for certain types of material. Curious to hear your thoughts. Well, to me, it's not, well, like this desk doesn't have input transformers in it. This is not an API or a Neve. But it has a sound. But more than the sound, it's more than that. It's really more about the workflow. Yes, the sound is a big thing, for sure, but it's more about the speed and the workflow. You're not opening up and closing plugin windows. You're not trying to map plugin controls to a controller, and they're all a little clunky. None of them do it really well. Some do it better than others, but none of them are ideal. To me, there is no substitute that if I want to turn up 8K on an EQ, done. That 1 second EQ move is at least 4 times as long in a DAW. Opening up the plugin, turning the knob, grabbing the mouse, or using a controller or mapping it to a controller. It is so different. So for me, the physical workflow of a console is really where it's at. Yes, the sounds, but could you still get a wonderful analog sounding mix without a console and a bunch of outboard gear and a controller? Sure you could, but it's not, the mixing is not the same. It's just not. It's just not. And I'm one of the only people that I know of, I'm sure there's more out there, but the only one that I know of that has a full analog setup, and then 20 feet away over there that you don't see on camera, I have a full in the box rig with controllers, and I work on both every single week. Today I'm working on this, tomorrow I'm working over there, sometimes both in the same day. So I go back and forth between them all the time. So I am very, very intimate and know the differences between the two. A lot of people that talk about the differences between the two types of workflows talk about it theoretically, or they talk about, oh, I used to work on a console back in the 70s and now I'm working in the box, and they do that compare and contrast, but they haven't worked in one of those workflows in years. They don't work on it every single day on both like I do. So I feel like I bring a little bit of a unique perspective where I work with both every day from a mixing perspective. And I can tell you what the differences are. And there's a huge difference. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, Dave, I'm 57. Are you near my age? I'm near your age. I like the High Dry album the best still. I like High and Dry too, man. That was my first introduction to Def Leppard, was High and Dry, the song High and Dry. And then I went back and listened to On Through the Night, which is the first record, and then Pyromania when it came out. Def Leppard are using 2 Neve AMS Neve 24.8s. Oh, are they? Cool. That Enfuse plugin is awesome. I love it. Oh, 200% 6 weeks Audioscape LA3As. Nah, you won't see them on Reverb. You don't see a lot of used Audioscape gear on Reverb, and they won't be on there in 6 weeks at 200% higher. They won't be. At least that's not the pattern with their other gear, so I don't see that. You don't see a ton of Audioscape gear on Reverb because when people buy it, they keep it because it's good stuff. I still think you should have gone with Army or Lynx. Too late now, brother. Too late now. Guilty. Antelope gets a bad reputation. I'd like to help change that. Yeah, the only thing about their reputation I ever heard was bad is that software. And the software is intimidating, and it is, I don't like it, to be honest, but I don't use it. I have it set up, I set it and forget it. And again, I don't know. I've always heard Antelope's reputation of the conversion, their preamps, the hardware has always been really, really great. But their reputation is, or some of the issues they used to have was the software. And supposedly they fixed a lot of that in their newer pieces. I haven't had a problem yet. I will tell you that their customer service is fantastic. They're one of the few companies you can call and get tech support on the phone in 10 minutes. One of the few. And they were really helpful to me, very helpful. So I'll give them a 100 out of 100 just for their customer service, which is huge because I was very reluctant to buy the Antelope because of the software. But knowing that if I do have a problem, that I could get a guy logged into my system in less than a half an hour during business hours, and they'll log in, get on the phone with me and work a problem with me. Try that with PreSonus, and I love PreSonus. Impossible. Try that with Avid. Impossible. Try that with any other company, any other software, hardware-based company, where you don't have to pay for it, that they'll actually not just support an email, but actually they'll get right into your system and help you. Very few companies will do that. So because of that too, I feel better about the Antelope because of it. Yeah, the Burrow mothership. Burrow makes good stuff, man. Dave, did you know because of your total honesty reviews and your experience with the audio world, I bought 12 units from Audioscape? Yeah. You're the guy that did it, right, Daryl? Yes, I think you're the one that wrote the comments, right? And if you did, thank you for doing that. I forwarded that to Audioscape and said, hey, by the way, man, and you're the only one I know of that has bought that many units based on my videos. But believe me when I tell you, I get emails all the time, but on both of my channels, when people bought something based on my review and that they were happy with it, just to say thank you. A lot of times. And that makes me feel good because, it's hard, man, when you're buying gear. It even is hard for me. You don't know. A lot of times it's a crapshoot and you don't know who to trust online. Most of these guys are all used car salesmen. I keep saying it over and over again. And so, yeah, it's hard to find a source that you can trust, that you can say, okay, he or she is telling you about a piece of gear because they really believe in it and that they own it for themselves and that they use it all the time. So yeah, thank you for doing that, Daryl. I sent that over to Audioscape. I did a screenshot of your comment. And so that's very helpful. And when people write comments like that, if I want to work with a company, I will send them the comments of people that have done that. So if a company's unsure if they want to work with me or not, I'll show them those kinds of comments and go, hey man, look, I'm interested in your stuff. And if you want to work with me, if it's good stuff, people are going to buy it if I tell people it's good, but it's got to be good stuff. And I have to, and nobody tells me what I can say in a video. Nobody. I had one company, I can't tell you who it is, but it was at Home Recording Made Easy. It was about 6 months ago. It was right around Christmas time of last year. Huge plugin company. I mean, one of the biggest ones on the planet. That's all I'll say. And they reached out to me. They wanted me to do a bunch of videos for them. Now, I own a lot of their plugins already because I've been using them for years. But they couldn't give me any plugins as payments because I've already had them. But it is a membership. And so we were gonna work out a deal to do a bunch of plugin demos because they really liked my videos and the way I would present the stuff. And they were gonna give me several years of my subscription for free, which I thought, oh, that'd be a pretty good trade-off. That'll save me a few bucks. And I love their plugins. I've been buying them for years, so I know it's good stuff. So that's a fair trade, right? I wouldn't do a demo if I didn't think their plugins were any good. I've already bought all this stuff. And then they sent me a PDF of 3 pages of how I had to make the video, what had to be said, what could not be said. I mean, a bunch of stuff. And I ripped it up. I wrote them back and said, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. Nobody tells me what I'm going to say in the video. No one's going to dictate to me what I say about the product. I know if a company sends me a plugin or a piece of gear, they want a favorable review. Certainly they would expect that. And if they were going to give me a piece of gear as payment, they would expect that my review would be favorable. That's an honest expectation. That's a reasonable expectation. And that's fine. I won't do a video unless I like the stuff like we talked about. But I need to be able to speak freely and say what I think, good, bad, or indifferent. And if a company's not comfortable with that, I won't work with them. And if they're not sure whether I'm going to present their product in a proper light, all they got to do is go watch all the videos on both of my YouTube channels. I have between these 2 channels, 2,000 videos. There are plenty of gear demos, plenty of plugin demos. You can see for yourself if you're a company how I present products. I'm not going to get on here and just bash your company, but if it's something about a piece of equipment or something that I think can be improved, I feel I want to be able to share that in the appropriate way, and I'll do that. But yeah, that happens with a huge plugin company last year. They sent me like a contract. It was crazy. I said I've never had anybody almost scripted out what they wanted me to say in the video. Won't do it. So now I'm paying for my subscription like everybody else for the next several years. That's okay. Hey, Dave, if you do not want those Cappy EQs, I have not bought my own. No, the Cappies I think I'm keeping, man. I love the Cappy EQ, the API sound. I would be surprised if I were to sell them. Wasn't right what they did by dumping people. Oh, are you talking to Chris? Sorry, didn't want to get in there. Yes, Daryl, thank you again so much. That's very kind of you for doing that. And yeah, if you guys have bought Audioscape or anybody else's stuff based on my recommendation, please leave that in the comments of the videos. That helped. It really does help. That's another way you can help me. Okay. Oh, great. Braxel says Dave, you have several Audioscape pieces now, and I buy future ones as soon as they are released. You are the one that tipped me off to them. Awesome. That's another comment I'm going to send to Audioscape. So when they put out their next piece of gear, they don't send it to Joe Carroll. They send it over here. I kid Joe. It was probably Mixbus TV. No, it was not. No, Dave, knee 511s are from another YouTuber. Oh, okay. That's funny. Do you ever find that your outboard gear for mixing? Oh, do you ever find that you are outboard mixing from virtual orchestra libraries? Sometimes. Do you ever produce with them? Can you please discuss? I'm considering East West Opus at the moment. I've used East West before. They make really great stuff. Again, I don't do producing here. I just do mixing. Do I get mixing sessions that have high quality sound libraries with strings and pads and horns and brass? Yes. East West is one of them. East West is very, very good. There are others out there that are awesome, but I know East West is really good. And what I love about their stuff is they're pretty much finished. They're finished sounding right out of the box. Most good virtual instrument libraries today are. They're really kind of mix ready. So when you blend them into a mix, there might be a little bit of shaping that you have to do to get them to sit in with everything else. But yeah, the East West stuff is great. Really, really good. Mama Biggs, can you do a review on the Tegular Myth EQ? I don't own it. Love using automation on my board. either draw automation or the API automation both work great. Yeah, the API's got automation. That's one thing this desk doesn't have. But I do have the NG levelers by West Audio, and those things work really good. But it's not as good. It's again, here's another, I got to do more videos on that because I use it all the time. And it is a very affordable solution to add automation to a console that doesn't have it. But it is a little clunky. It is. It's great. It works. I've learned to work around it so I can do all my post-processing automation. However, is it as good as having it in the desk like in the API? No, it's not. But, you know, if you have a desk that doesn't have it, you can add automation, post-processing relatively cheap, and it does work. But there are a little bit of compromise. But it works. You have the Cappy Hyder H2. Oh, the preamps. Okay, so I never heard of those. Oh, yeah. I've never used their preamps. I thought they already had an LA3A in the 500 series format, but still. Yes, they do. I have them. They're called the VA3As. The new LA3A is the same exact circuit. I know that because they've told me. The way the new LA3A came about, and again, I only know this because Audioscape told me this, and there may be more to the story, but part of the story is that unit that you just saw released today or yesterday, whenever it was, that was originally just a prototype for one specific customer that liked the VA3As, but he really wanted the old LA3A look. He wanted the chassis. It was a one-off build. And that turned into, he said, you know, maybe we'll make a product out of this. But that circuit is the same that's in the VA3A. Now, I don't know on the production unit if there's a couple additional features on the new unit that's not in the old one. I'm not sure because I haven't studied it close enough yet. But that was never supposed to be a product. That was only a one-off. And then they got, you know, they got some demand to build it, so they built it. It looks really cool. Braxel said they spoke to Sweetwater. They no longer carry Antelope because they break down and cost them a ton of money in repairs and lost money on them. In a couple of years, they break. Yeah, okay, maybe they do. I have a 4-year warranty on mine. So as long as, if it lasts 4 years, it's probably going to last. Again, they may have had some issues in the past. I don't know I don't know if they have those issues any longer. I hope not, but like I said, I have a 4-year warranty on mine. So, Jeff at RME is actually very awesome for phone support. Oh, good. I don't use their stuff, so I don't know. So if they're another good company for that, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Zona was going to go with Antelope, went with MTRX2. Okay, cool. I got the Galaxy 64, which is the 64 IO with the monitor section. And so far, it's been great. But I haven't had it long enough to, you know, again, I would say if someone says, would you recommend the Antelope? I would recommend it based on my limited use. I'll tell you that the customer support is fantastic. The stuff is built really well. It sounds great. It's got a ton of headroom in it. The software is very, very flexible. Could do a ton of routing for recording, mixing, and both. I don't use it for that. I think it's a little overwhelming. But guys that do use the software, once you get to learn it, say it's really flexible. It's really awesome. On the Galaxy 64, you can also use their plugins in the software to record through their plugins if you want to. I don't do that either, but you could. So far, I've had a positive experience with Antelope, but it hasn't been long. And if the unit ever breaks down, if I ever have any of the issues that you guys are telling me about, I will tell you because I have a 4-year warranty. And if it becomes problematic, and even though it's serviced, and if it's got to go in and out of my studio, if that were to happen, I will sell it and I will go get something else. It's as simple as that, and I'll tell you about it. But so far, it's been great. So, but I haven't had it for that long. Chris says he's had an Antelope Orion for almost 5 years and never showed any sign of breaking down, not even close. There you go. Antelope having software problem is no surprise. They used to be called Adavark and had problems with their software and went out of business. Yeah, that was the one thing I used to hear about Antelope, but supposedly in these newer generations, the software is different. It's been improved. I don't know that because I don't have the old version, so I can't speak to that. But that's what I've read and have been told. Chris says that a Radvark, if that's how you say it, went down almost 20 years ago. Antelope has made huge strides changing and refining their company. The experiences Davis shared has been just like mine. Great products, great customer service. Yeah, and and if a company had issues many years ago, and if they have truly improved, you should give them a chance. You hope that companies, when they have problems and they get customer feedback, that they go in and they redesign, re-engineer, and better their products. Because if they don't do that, eventually they go out of business. There's a lot of big studios that use Antelope products. So I wouldn't just write them off over something that happened 10 or 15 years ago. But however, proceed with caution. And as I always say, if you're going to buy this stuff, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money, like that Galaxy 64, that's an $11,000 unit. Don't buy it used. Buy it from a place where you can return it, where you have good service, not only from Antelope, but from the dealer. Like a Sweetwater, well, not in this case because they don't carry Antelope, but I bought mine from Vintage King. And so I know that I'm going to get good customer service for 4 years. I know I will. So yeah, that's what I would tell you. If you're ever going to buy an expensive piece of gear, yeah, sometimes you could buy it on the used market and you could save a couple of bucks. But, again, if you have a problem, you're stuck. You're stuck. Looking to add some AudioScape, maybe some 500 series or rack-mounted stuff. Cool. AudioScape makes great stuff. John Doe, Dave, have you tried that plug-in by Universal Audio? I forgot what it's called. Something like that. Different tape machines or tubes. Oh yeah, no, I saw it. I didn't try it. No. Andrew Masters is another audio Antelope convert and speaks highly of them. Oh, he does? I don't really follow him too much. So, okay, cool. I'll just leave it at that. Higher Grounds, I bought AudioScape, Optos, Comps, and EQP after seeing your stuff. And Buddy Pete is having both. Oh. Both units in his studio. Oh, cool. Great. Thank you, man. That's great. I will let AudioScape know. I will send them your comments. I have an Orion 32 Gen 3 and I love it. And while I'm very much still a noob, I'm looking to expand into more converters using it, the Orion S flavor. Oh, cool. So you're having luck with your 32 Gen 3. That's awesome. All right, well, this is interesting. Mr. Music says that Antelope left a bad taste in her mouth. He felt like he got burned back in the day. Well, that's unfortunate. I can understand if you felt like you got burned by a company, you're not going to go buy their stuff in the future. Makes sense. Makes sense. Daryl says he went from 20 years with Apogee to now less than a year. What you guys say is accurate about Antelope. Okay, cool. Apogee makes great stuff too. I've never used it, but they make high quality stuff too. Braxel, I hear what you're saying, man, but you tend to use these big, broad strokes, man. I mean, it's unreliable, but there's lots of people here that say they have no problems. So that's cool. But unless you used it for yourself, Braxel, and you haven't, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you've never used their stuff for yourself, then you don't have firsthand experience. So you want to be careful. Now, Sweetwater, I'm sure Sweetwater, what they're telling you is true. But there's lots of people that use their stuff that really like their stuff. So unless you've used it like Mr. Music and had a really bad taste or a really bad experience, be careful. Don't try to talk people out of stuff, because what you're saying may be true at one time, but there's lots of people that use this Antelope stuff that really like it. I haven't had it long enough to say run out and buy it. I can just tell you that my experience so far has been okay. But you don't want to use a broad brush and just say, well, Sweetwater says they break down. Well, have you had one breakdown? If you haven't had one breakdown, then, I would just be cautious when you say stuff like that. But I hear what you're saying, and your opinion is valid. I'm just saying, be careful. It's just like when people talk to me, we talked about this before, where people will talk about consoles or hardware and they'll make comments like they know, and they've never even stood in the room with the gear that they're commenting about, or they've never even used the console that they're actually talking about, but they read something somewhere, they heard something somewhere, they read it on a forum, and they take it as gospel. And it's like, well, okay, that's information we should listen to. It is a point of data that's valid. But that doesn't mean that everything the company has done since then or in the future sucks. It just doesn't mean that. Or if you're commenting on a piece of equipment that you've never even put your hands on, then you should say that. And I try to caution people when they do that. Because I've had people tell me there's no way they would buy an SSL console based on A, B, C, or D. And I said, oh, do you work? Have you ever worked on one? They'll say no. Or I was in a studio with one back in 1982. I'm like, wait a minute. So you haven't worked on one yourself. You haven't stood in the room with an SSL since 1982. And you're going to tell me what this console is and isn't? Those are people I instantly write off. And unfortunately, the internet is littered with that kind of shit. That's why, like I told Daryl, you want to know what the real McCoy is, you come here. I'll tell you. And if I don't have experience with the stuff, I will tell you that, like we've done sometime tonight. Ask me about gear that's maybe great, but if I've never put my hands on it, I'm not going to tell you whether it's good or not because I don't know. So that's all I would say. That's all I would say. Okay. Sorry to keep pushing this. No pushing. Out of curiosity, could you share a few of or other orchestra libraries you use? I don't. And this is a great example. I don't use other ones. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not going to tell you something about something I have no experience with. The only ones that I've used East West. It's good. Trying to, some of the Native Instrument stuff, I'm sorry, is good. But that's it. That's all I have. That's all I know. Are there other good ones out there? I'm sure there's great ones out there. Do your research, but I've never used them all, so I don't know. And I'm not going to comment on it if I haven't used it. Andrew Masters just bought one. He doesn't have the time with the unit. I just believe, boy, Broxel, you are a tough cookie, brother. You're a tough cookie, man. You can't be convinced of anything, man. When you got it in your minds, no one could tell you different, which is cool. Hey, man, I'm proud that you have your convictions. But, it's funny. Sometimes this audio stuff is like, which we never do here. It's like politics in a way, right? Especially in today's day and age. Regardless of what you are, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You could be a Republican and you could be talking about it. You can't convince a Republican of anything outside of what they believe. Doesn't matter. You could show them all the data. You could show them videotape. They're dug in. They got their flag in the ground and they're not budging. Same thing with Democrats. It's amazing. It's just, some of this stuff is just like politics. People have a belief, and no matter what the facts are, no matter what the data, the real data shows, no matter what the truth really is, they're not convinced, man. They only believe what they want to believe, and they've lost their ability to ponder and to think and to listen to another point of view. In politics, I mean, right? That's our crazy country. That's enough of politics. Same thing with some audio gear, man. Some people have a piece of gear and every other piece of gear sucks. I don't get it. Braxel, you're not one of those people, are you? You're just convinced that Antelope sucks. You've never used Antelope. You've never used it yourself, but you're convinced it's bad. You're convinced it's bad. You've never used it, but you're convinced it's bad. And you might be right. Maybe it is bad. Sweetwater's not the end-all be-all. A lot of great companies don't sell their stuff on Sweetwater. That's true. Audio Gain Labs doesn't sell their stuff on Sweetwater. Does that mean Audio Gain Labs makes shitty products? Of course not. Trinoff, just until recently, didn't sell stuff on Sweetwater. Does that mean their stuff is shit? Of course not. So just because Sweetwater, one sales guy said that, is that really true? Is that really true? Maybe it is. I don't know. What's the difference between an Apollo and Antelope? Well, they're two different companies. Apollo's made by Universal Audio. I'm sure you know that, Ted Guitar. Welcome to the channel. They're similar in a lot of ways in that Universal Audio was one of the first companies, maybe not the first, but one of the first that I remember, where you can actually record through their plugins in real time with no latency with their proprietary software called Console. Now, there's other companies that have come along since then that have done the same kind of thing and do it really well. Antelope is one of those companies. I don't use the Antelope for that, so I can't tell you how good that works or not, but it has the capability of doing that. What's the real difference? The other difference is Universal Audio Universal Audio in general has a lot more plugins in their plugin suite than Antelope does. But Antelope is starting to have a lot of plugins. Again, I don't use them. I did some demos of them on my other channel and I wasn't crazy about them, to be honest with you, but I didn't spend a lot of time with them. So they're just two different companies that make a similar product. Both really good companies. Universal Audio I've used for years, and I can't say anything bad about Universal Audio. I've never had any problems with their stuff, but that's just me. Okay, Jimmy says Braxel Andrews had over a year now, actually. I don't know much about Andrew Masters and what he has, so if you guys are saying that, that's cool. We'd have to go watch their channel. Nope, never use Antelope. But I have to do research things before I buy. The reviews at Sweetwater told me make me feel like I should stay away from it. Okay, and you bought really good stuff, Braxel. You bought RME, great stuff. But let's role play for a quick second. I've never used RME stuff, but if I heard 2 or 3 people tell me they didn't like it, would I say their product sucks? Don't buy it? I've never used it. I've never put my hands on it. I have no firsthand experience, but you know what? I've researched it and I found 2 or 3 or 4 reviews and a guy somewhere told me it was no good or they used to have problems. Would you not buy it? Right? You would say, well, wait a minute, I use RME stuff all the time and it's awesome. And I'm sure it is. When people ask me about RME, the first thing I say is I've never used it. But I say I know a lot of people that have and they love it. But that doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It just means that I've never used it. So that's it. And it's okay if you don't like Antelope, that's okay. All I'm saying is every time we talk about it, you try to turn everybody off to it and you have no experience with it. And I would just say, I would refrain from that. But that's okay. You do whatever you want, Braxel. You're cool. Right now I'm going to wait and see. Okay, cool, man. I think that Antelope rebooted their software support around 2020 or 2021. Okay. Pre-purchase research before buying, not only to do with the Orion 32s, but also the Orion Studio. Okay, I don't know. And I've heard that the Galaxy software is different from the Orion. It looks the same on the screen to me, but I've heard it's different. I don't know if it's different, but I've heard it's different. I've heard it's different. So hopefully they have rebooted their software and their support around 2020, 21. That's great if they have. But again, if I have problems in the future, I'll be sure to tell you guys. I would be sure to tell you. How about you come to my studio, mix on an API, and I'll mix on your SSL for a video idea. That would be fun. That would be fun. Maybe one day we'll do that. Where are you located? To the Holy Church Legislature of Audio Engineering. I know I can preach sometimes. But you guys ask me, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Keyboard warriors everywhere, sadly. Well, it's, you know. That's why I say it's hard. The internet's hard, man. You got to do your research because it's hard. No, I am open to changing my mind, but I am not closed-minded. Well, you sound like you are on this Antelope thing. Maybe not in general, but on this one topic, you sound like you are. I just do a lot of research before buying. I did a lot of research too on Antelope before buying. You were actually here watching me do the research. I did a ton of research on Antelope before buying it. And I had enough of you guys that follow me that told me, Dave, I own the stuff. It's really good. I didn't listen to a guy that says it's no good, but never actually put his hands on it, Braxel. I actually listened to guys that actually own it, and I took a chance. So when you do the research, you gotta make sure, you know, and again, it's not right or wrong. It's not right or wrong. I'm not telling you go out and buy an Antelope. I'm just telling you, I did my research too, and I actually talked to guys that actually own them and use them for years. And on top of which, like I said, I got a 4-year warranty on it, and that was the only way I was going to buy it because I am still a little gun shy about it because I haven't had it long enough. But so far, it's been rock solid. Gain Lab Audio, Tegular, IGS, name a few, were not sold by Sweetwater. That's true. Oh, IGS isn't? I thought they were. Maybe they're not. They only recently got DW, Fern, and Trinoff. Lots of products. There's lots of great products all over the place. That's true. That's true. And Gain Lab Audio is a fantastic company with fantastic gear. Fantastic gear. They are. Oops. Mr. Music said, there's a perception never used, preference, personal taste, and experience, bad or good. That's very well put. Like I said, after 20 years with Apogee and then switching to Antelope, I heard things that sounded clearer and cleaner on Antelope. Can I say more natural? Okay. Say, but you were with Apogee for a long time, so you must have really liked their products too. I've never used them. I've considered it, but they didn't have enough I/O. The other reason why I bought the Antelope too, just so you guys know, is because I needed 64 ins and outs, and it's the only one that I know of that makes 64 I/O with a monitor section all in one unit, one piece of equipment. That was important to me. So that kind of narrowed the field a little bit because the Apogee only makes a 32. So you would need 2 of them. And the Apogees are more expensive. At least the ones I was looking at were. I don't remember the model number. Yeah. Chris loves a spicy conversation. We're all on the same team trying to make great music. Yeah. And all this stuff is so subjective, right, man? It is. It's subjective. You know, it's all great gear. It sucks when someone gets a piece of gear that breaks down or doesn't work. You know, and if you have a bad experience with a company, that's no good too. But more and more these days, I think companies are a lot, I'll say this, I think the one thing that YouTube really did for the consumer, even though there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of keyboard warriors, as Jimmy so eloquently put it, but what it did do is it woke a lot of companies up that if they don't have a good product and decent service, they could be put out of business if they get enough bad reviews on YouTube. I know for sure that there's companies out there that get a really bad rap that are having a hard time coming back because of bad YouTube reviews. So I think a lot of these companies have had to step up their game, and that's only good for all of us, right? Because if a company doesn't do right by their customers, you know, in the general sense, yeah, everybody can have a piece, a one-off. They get a bad piece of gear. That happens. But if they have consistently bad quality, that can ruin a company in today's day and age with YouTube. So I think a lot of these companies have had to really improve their customer service and their quality, because they know that people will come on here and will say stuff. And then they'll convince guys like Braxel, who's just trying to get the best thing he can because he's really doing his research and he wants to feel good about his purchase. He won't buy an Antelope product because of all the bad stuff that he's heard. Think about that. Now, Braxel's not the only one that feels this way, by the way. I've been told and heard in the past by lots of people, stay away from Antelope. I told you guys that. This is going back a handful of years since they supposedly have improved. But just look at what something that might have happened 5 or 10 years ago where a company maybe didn't have their act together completely. It affects them today. Guy like Braxel, and there's many other guys just like Braxel, will not touch an Antelope product based on their reputation from 5 or 6 years ago. Companies realize that. And that means if they want to stay in business, they got to get their act together. Or they won't be in business a year or two from now. They won't be. Because people will stop buying their stuff because there'll be people on YouTube that'll make videos that'll say bad things. So it's good for us. I think anyway. Oh, Huntington, Long Island, you're only a couple hours from me. Oh yeah, maybe one of these days we'll have to do a field trip. I'll do a field trip to your studio. You can do a field trip to my studio. We can make some YouTube content. Oh, okay, so I can skirt there. Sorry about that. I hear a lot of great things on Antelope. Great bang for the buck. I will say Antelope is good bang for the buck. At least it was on my end. No problem, Braxel. Don't be sorry. Just don't, you know what? I'm not saying you should buy Antelope, but I'm saying don't talk yourself out of a product that might be really good for you because of stuff you've heard in the past. If you're hearing a bunch of other people say some good stuff about it, it may be something you may consider only because it might help you make a more informed purchase. That's all. That's all. But your opinion is your opinion, and that's totally fine. Everybody's opinion's valid here, and we're all just talking here, trying to share and trying to learn and trying to help each other. It's no problem, man. I think a video would kill it. It would be cool. Thumbs up, slackers. That's right, Uncle Sam. Thank you so much. And super chat. I've been on here almost 3 hours, man. At least you guys can do a super chat. And I would go as far as to say using the board only and no external hardware. Oh yeah, that'd be fun just to see how the board sounds. Man, living on the beast, the best coast kind of sucks sometimes. It's 5-hour flight to the East Coast. Yeah, Jimmy's all the way across the country. Yep, you got to come all the way out here, James, if you want to get in this room. But you live in a really nice place. Okay, so I'm at the bottom of the chat. We'll stay on about another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. So if you have any other questions or anything you want to talk about, now's the time. Again, I thank you so much, guys, for joining me again tonight. I've had a lot of fun. I like doing these with you guys. Again, we still got a lot of people here, man. I'll tell you, the one thing about this channel is when we do live streams, we get 30, 40 people. You guys will stay here for hours, which I really appreciate. And we just crossed the 12,000 subscriber mark on this channel, which is really awesome. That's okay, Chris. Chris spent all his money on gear. He has no more money left. He's broke, just like the rest of us. I get it, believe me. I get it. That's fine. That's fine. You guys support me in other ways. No, I enjoy coming on here and I enjoy talking shop. It's a lot of fun. All right, man, you have a great night. Thank you so much for your support. As always, stay tuned to the channel because there's more fun stuff to come in the very, very near future. And don't forget about the Mixing Music Analog courses, $100 off. Thank you, Braxel, $100 off. Save 100 is the coupon code that you can use to take $100 off. Great, man. Check out those Focals. They make a lot of different, they make a few different series depending on your budget. It's probably not for several weeks. It's coming, Jimmy. I know you want to buy one. You don't need to wait for the video. Just go buy it. I know you're in the market for this thing. You don't need to wait for the video. I'm telling you, just go buy it. Just go buy it. You will not be disappointed. I'm sure you'll buy it from Sweetwater. So if you didn't like it for some stupid reason, you could get a refund. But I can't imagine you would buy that and not like it. And make sure you use my affiliate link if you would. But yeah, but the video, probably 3 or 4 weeks, maybe. It's in the queue. It's in the queue. Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate you showing up. I appreciate everybody showing up. All right, gang, we getting ready to go? Yes, it's always fun to get together and talk shop. Yeah, I like to do these about every month, every 3 to 4 weeks, just to get on here and just talk about stuff. Just, you know, talk about gear and see what you guys are into and what you're looking at. And if you have any questions, I mean, this is fun. I like talking. I learn a ton of stuff too. I learn a ton of stuff from you guys too. You know, I learned just as much from you guys as you guys learned from me, probably even more, to be honest. Yes, go buy it, James. I'm telling you, there's no way you're going to put that, because I know about the rest of the gear that you have. There's no way you're going to put that on your master bus and go, yeah, I don't think I like this. There's no way. I'm telling you. Oh, you're waiting for the 500 version of the Super Silk. Do you know if they're going to make that? Have you, is that come out? Like, is that, I don't know. That might be. That might be. But you know what else? The Super Silk's really cool, but I just love the width, the widener, the width control on that. I also love the fact that even if you didn't use any of the modules, I don't know why you wouldn't, but even if you didn't, just driving the input transformer, cranking up the input and then cranking down the output, there's like 5 or 6 transformers in that unit. That sounds great just on its own, even if you don't use any of the other modules. But I do. I typically will use the width, the Super Silk. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of the EQ, but not really, because I use the Empress EQ, which I like better. That's another piece, by the way. Vintage King, you're talking about pieces that are just like killer, is that Audio Gain Lab Empress EQ. For $2,000, that is a killer box. I use it on the master bus, but you can use it anywhere. I love that thing. When I was looking for a stereo EQ for my master bus, I looked at a few of them. I am so happy I bought that. So that's another killer piece. You could buy it at Vintage King. I think you can even buy it on their website directly. I think I read that somewhere, but you could buy it at Vintage King. So if you're looking for a good stereo bus EQ, that thing's awesome. Mr. Music says that if Antelope reached out to me as a former customer that they left hanging and tried to make right, I would give them another chance. Otherwise, no, it was already burned. I totally get it, man. Look, totally get it. If it was a different company back then, I don't see the new company reaching out to you. But I hear it. If you were really burned by the company, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. I wouldn't give a shit how good their products were. If I felt like I was taken advantage of, I wouldn't give them another chance unless they tried to make it right somehow. Even if it was an email, or if they got you to buy one of the new products, maybe extended your warranty for you just so you feel comfortable, whatever. I totally hear you there, man. I do. Because you know what? The truth of the matter is there are a lot of great products on the market, right? We talked about it tonight. RME, Antelope, Apogee, Burl, Lynx, Ferrofish, hell, Universal Audio. All of these companies make wonderful pieces of equipment that would do any studio just great. They all have different features, or, you know, some are, you know, are different price points. But there's a lot of great gear out there. You don't have to settle for a company that you feel didn't treat you right. And I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So yeah, honestly, the way I am about HP computers, as you do IT, yep, they burn me so bad, I'll never do business with them again. I get it. I get it. And you shouldn't. If a company doesn't treat you right, do not support them, because that's the only way the company will ever change or go out of business, is to change. And some companies do change. Some companies get it and they change. Some don't, but some do. Hey, Jeremy, how are you? Any thoughts on the new S Audio 2BQ? It looks awesome, but it's expensive. I've never bought a piece of West Audio gear that I didn't think was great. It's all great, and I have multiple pieces, as people know. So if I was in the market for a 2BQ, would that be one of them I'd look on the list? Yes. And at the time when I was looking for my stereo EQ and I bought my AudioLabs, if that was out, would I have looked at that too? Probably would have looked at it, yes, because I love their other products, but they're quite a bit more expensive than the AudioLabs too. So my only thoughts are, if it's West Audio, it's going to be killer, but I haven't heard that one for myself. So I can't comment on that one, but I can't imagine that that thing's not great. I guess it shows, like you said, once a company blows it, it's hard to get them back. True. You'll never buy another Waves plugins after what they did. There you go. I know a lot of people that feel like that about Waves. I don't feel the same way. You're talking about the subscription and they went back and forth. I know that pissed a lot of people off. I don't have the same opinion, but I get it. And I know other people feel that way too. Hey, Jason, going to have to go back and find where you talk about the new Audioscape VA3A. I did. We talked about it. So we'll get one soon. Yeah, that EQ looks awesome, man. Again, I have no use for it, so I would have no use to get it. But I think it's super expensive, though. It's like $5 or $6 grand, which is a lot. It's a lot. Oh yeah, $6 grand. Yeah, that's a lot. You could buy 3 of the AudioLabs for that. That's a lot. And that's probably the most expensive piece they've made, because I have their NG bus compressor, which is fantastic. That's only $3 grand. So that's twice as much money. But, you know, again, there may be, I don't know all the details about that EQ. Again, it's a digitally controlled analog piece. That's a huge feature. Huge. How does that sound compared to other things? I don't know. I don't know. Now, if they wanted to send it to me to listen to, I would listen to it, but they're not going to. They're pretty much locked in with Dave over at Mixbus TV. He's their guy. He's their guy. So you'll have to go watch his video. Mad Max, hey Mad Max. The path to many plugin companies is starting to make me want to go hybrid. What's the plot? What path? You mean the subscription thing? They're all going to do that. But going hybrid is, if you're going to go hybrid, I wouldn't worry about the subscriptions. Plugins don't sound like hardware. They're different. And I've never met anyone that once they started buying some hardware saying, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go back to all plugins. I've never met that person. I'm sure there's lots of people like that. I've never met that person. Passive tube EQs are generally expensive to make. There is a reason all the good ones are crazy expensive. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the details of that West Audio piece. But I'm sure it's killer. I don't know that if it was $6,000 when I was looking for my EQ, I don't think I would have bought it at $6,000. That, to me, that's a little out of my price range. Like I said, the Audio Gain Labs was $2,000. I was looking at the Mog EQ, that was like $2,000 or $2,500. I probably would have spent up to about $3,000. I don't know that I would have spent $6,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot for me to do. So yeah, they're crazy expensive. But I'm sure it's great, man. I'm sure it's great. Okay, gang, we're going to head out of here. I need to get to bed. It's been a long day. So anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining me again tonight. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, and all that happy stuff. Stay close to the channel. Again, go check out the hybrid mixing courses. Links are in the description box. Save $100. Save 100 is the coupon code. And I will see you guys very soon. Another few weeks. We'll make maybe 3 weeks. We won't wait 5 weeks this time. A couple more weeks, we'll get back on here. We'll do it again. All right, man. See you guys later.